Hello, and welcome back to Migraine Relief Hotline. I'm Kelli, the migraine dietitian, and each week I'm answering your biggest questions about migraine so you can feel more confident and in control. So today we have a question all about hormonal migraine and menopause. Like, what's the deal with all of that? But before we jump in, I wanted to talk a little bit about two things. The first one is that I am trying a new microphone setup today. So let me know if you feel like this audio is better or if it's worse. I don't know, but it should be better, a little bit more clear. I'm also trying a different lighting out today, mostly because it's a nice sunny day and I just wanted the sun in here. So that's a little bit different too if you are watching the video either on YouTube or Spotify. Editing Kelli here, and there is some weird audio stuff. I'm still getting used to where to put the lav mic. So there is some clicking every once in a while. I'm so sorry. I'll fix it. I'm so sorry. Also, for anybody who is watching, I'm wearing my migraine glasses today. I always get questions about them when I wear them. So just to address those, these are prescription and they contain FL41 lenses. So these are specific types of lenses that help with light sensitivity, with migraine. So I typically like to wear these either when I'm dealing with some eye strain or migraine. And I did have a migraine attack when I woke up this morning. So I'm just being on the safe side. I also really overused my eyes yesterday when it comes to screens. So I'm trying to be a little bit kinder to my eyes today. They do not make these anymore that I'm wearing currently, but if you just Google FL41 lenses, FL41 glasses, even migraine glasses, you'll find a ton of different options. But now let's get into today's question. A quick note before we get started, I am a dietitian, but I am not your dietitian. Everything mentioned in this podcast is intended for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. So please check with your personal healthcare team before making any changes to supplements, medications, routine, or anything else health related. All right, so today's question comes from Megan, and she asked, why are there conflicting reports of hormonal migraines getting better or worse during menopause? When hormones decline, it seems reasonable that hormonal migraine would also reduce. Is it a ratio issue? And she said, because of hormones being off. So this is a great question, and there is a reason why you'll hear differing things. Like, some people notice their migraine improves after menopause. Some people notice it doesn't change at all or it even worsens. And this is because the relationship between migraine and hormones isn't as straightforward as no estrogen equals no migraine problem and estrogen equals migraine, right? It's a little bit more complicated than that. And migraine is impacted by more than just hormones, right? Even hormonal migraine. So let's jump into why this happens and what you can expect post-menopause. So why does some people's migraine improve after menopause? For many people, migraine attacks are triggered by hormone fluctuations rather than just the presence of hormones themselves. So the rapid drop in estrogen before your period or around ovulation is a big trigger for many people. It's not simply the presence of estrogen, it's the fact that it fluctuates that can trigger us. It's called estrogen withdrawal. Once you're postmenopausal, estrogen levels remain consistently low, so they're not fluctuating anymore. And this stability of hormones is why some people experience fewer migraine attacks or even complete remission post-menopause. If their hormones were the main driver or main trigger behind their migraine attacks, then they might not experience them anymore post-menopause. Now, on the flip side, some people do notice that their migraine becomes worse or more stubborn and difficult to treat post-menopause. So why does this happen? First, let's talk about estrogen's role in the brain and the nervous system. Estrogen has neuroprotective effects. So it helps regulate neurotransmitters like serotonin, it supports blood flow, it helps reduce inflammation. When estrogen levels drop significantly, some people experience more neurological sensitivity, which can lead to more frequent or more severe attacks. And these same people will oftentimes see improvements when trying HRT or hormone replacement therapy, because they're not experiencing that dramatic drop in estrogen. And then we also need to talk about progesterone, because so much of the focus around hormonal migraine is on estrogen, but progesterone is important too. It has calming effects, it's anti-inflammatory, especially for the brain, and it also plays a really important role in our mood and anxiety. If progesterone levels are low, especially in the perimenopausal years, so that time before menopause where your hormones are shifting around a lot, migraine can actually worsen due to nervous system excitability. And then we also have to remember that hormones aren't the only piece of the puzzle when it comes to hormonal migraine, right? So we're still impacted by other factors, and other things are changing post-menopause along with our hormones. So you may notice changes with your sleep patterns, with blood sugar regulation. That can become more difficult for us post-menopause. You may notice new or worsened deficiencies like magnesium, B vitamins, especially B12. All of those can also contribute to migraine frequency and severity. So even though hormones themselves may not be an issue for you anymore, the effects of those hormone changes on your body can then impact migraine. Now, another part of the question for today was, is this a ratio issue? Is it a issue of balance of hormones versus just absolute levels? And yes, sometimes it can be more of a ratio balance issue, although this does tend to be more of a problem for those of us who are premenopausal or perimenopausal. So if estrogen is low, but progesterone is even lower, then that imbalance can cause problems for some people. So you may even experience symptoms of estrogen dominance or high estrogen when your estrogen is actually low if your progesterone is even lower, right? It's that relative imbalance. And then if you experience a more rapid decline in estrogen versus a gentle one, so for instance, people who have forced menopause due to complete hysterectomies, that can cause a rapid drop in estrogen. That can also affect us too, because that's a big immediate change versus something that's supposed to happen gradually over the course of a year or 2 or 3. This is why some people will often find relief post-menopause with HRT or hormone replacement therapy if they're still experiencing issues with migraine or a worsening of migraine. But of course, that's not the only option. There are other things we can do to support our body post-menopause, like focusing on sleep, nervous system support, really doubling down on blood sugar support. Those things can help as well. And kind of on that same note, I want to give you some places to start if you are post-menopausal and you're concerned about your migraine being worse than it used to be or just not improving as much as you hoped it would. So the first thing you want to do, as always, is track. So you want to track your migraine attacks, your symptoms, and what could be influencing them. So post-menopause, we're thinking about other symptoms that may accompany your migraine attacks, like night sweats or sleep issues, sleep disturbances, shifts in mood. Those can all be signs that hormones or lack of hormones are playing a role for you. And then there are also things that you can do to support estrogen naturally, because even post-menopause, we still do have some estrogen. We still do have some progesterone. It's just not present in as large of amounts as it used to be, right? And it's not being produced in the same areas anymore of the body. So eating cruciferous vegetables can help. Broccoli, kale, cauliflower. Managing blood sugar that we've already talked about can help. Making sure you're eating balanced meals, not skipping meals, having plenty of protein and fiber with each meal and snack. And then just like premenopause, magnesium is important for us post-menopause as well, because not only is it important for migraine, but magnesium plays a big role in our body's ability to have healthy hormone levels and healthy blood sugar balance, a healthy nervous system. So it really is playing a role in a lot of different areas. And even if you aren't deficient in magnesium, you may still benefit from supplementation. We do have some research showing that even in the absence of a magnesium deficiency, magnesium supplementation can help with migraine. And then if you're postmenopause and you're concerned that there's something off with your hormones, you can still get your hormone levels tested. So you can ask your doctor to test your hormone levels with a blood test. You can opt for more functional lab testing like the Dutch test, which I offer. Not only does that look at your hormone levels, but it also looks at your hormone metabolism, which becomes even more important postmenopause. And seeing more pieces of the puzzle when it comes to hormones and metabolism can help you figure out not only is something off, but why is it off? So to wrap everything up for you today, yes, hormones can still influence us and our migraine post-menopause. But whether that means an improvement or things worsening depends on how your body adapts to this change. The key is to understanding what's driving your symptoms and finding the right support for what's going on with your body. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Migraine Relief Hotline. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to rate, review, follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend who you think may find it helpful. If you have a question that you want me to answer on the podcast, you can submit it at the form linked in the show notes. And if you'd like exclusive content and a way to support Migraine Relief Hotline, you can find the link to our Patreon also in the show notes. And as always, if you feel like you need more support with these topics, if you're really struggling with migraine and feeling overwhelmed, Raise Your Threshold is my program where you can get support with those things. You are always welcome to reach out to me on Instagram. You can send me a DM at the.migrainedietitian, or you can check out my website, also in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week. Bye.